Hey guys, it's me, Rouge. I'm here today with Almney King, one of my good friends, and also a published author and an aspiring filmmaker.
That's right.
Right. Okay, so you have a couple books published. You have, actually, you tell me. What books do you have?
So I have a poetry book. It's called The Valley of Anchor that I published when I was 16 years old. And I've also written a novel that I started when I was 16, published when I was 19. It's a sci-fi adventure novel, and I'm working on the saga, or the sequel to the saga right now.
That's right. I read the first book. I'm jonesing for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about your story, your your sci-fi novel.
Yeah, so the story is about Earth coming in contact with a star-traveling planet known as Naija, and our character, Corinne, who later becomes known as Celeste, is kind of transformed into like this super soldier, and she's thrusted into this like spellbinding, like amazing, phenomenal world that's harvesting all these kind of mysteries and secrets, and she discovers an ancient connection between these two worlds as she goes on this journey to save her friend, who's also been kind of thrown into this world of the unknown. And she goes through a lot of trials and tribulations to find herself and to find her her inner courage to save her friend and get back home.
That's perfect summary of it. But you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you write like dreaming of yourself and like your world? Like, is this like, do you relate to Celeste, or is she different from you?
She's definitely she's definitely a part of me, but I think I like to look at her as someone I'm examining, and someone who can represent a lot of different sides of humanity. And so she's kind of like a representation of what humanity is, like powerful and strong and mysterious and not really understanding itself. And so that's kind of where I get Celeste's inspiration from.
I love her, but she makes me think of Wonder Woman, or just like, you know, a woman warrior. Do you find that maybe that's your way to be a woman warrior today? It's kind of hard in our society.
You know, I can definitely, I agree with that, because she is a female and she's powerful, but I think she's very, very also androgynous, where she's like, she has like female, what we consider female traits, and then she has what we also consider male traits. And so I don't think it's very, I'm not trying to like put her as this like, this female powerhouse character, but just someone who's very human and can relate to both sides of what it means to be, a human in general.
And right now you have the first book published, but you're thinking of 4 more books?
Yeah, maybe 4 or 5. The story is getting absolutely insane. Like, it's just going further and further, and I'm like, why stop? Why not? Like,
Right? Her story is not done.
Her story's not done. It's like just beginning.
I love it. Do you have any plans for the story? Like a film?
I would absolutely love to see All Light Will Fall become a film, and like a saga for everyone to enjoy, and for everyone to like have an emotional connection with, and for it to like really open up people's minds, and and be like, wow, this is more than sci-fi. This is like transcending like what we know about movies and what we know about the sci-fi genre and just people in general.
And it has like something to say for it, even in its like there's a part of your story where people live in a place where the weather's controlled.
Yeah,
it's like we kind of do that. Like we're kind of on the verge. So
it's a book that's very like telling of our future, and not in a way where it's like everything is sci-fi and techie, but everything is very like controlled in a system where we don't know it anymore. Like right now, I think we're very, very aware that we're controlled in a system of like social media, and like we know that we're being tracked, like our bank cards and stuff. But and I think eventually we might become numb to that and lose our sense of the individual being free.
Right. Okay, so with all of that thought put into it, I'm sure, do you ever like run into moments where you're just like, oh my God, like that was an intense scene, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh, do you get writer's block? Where do you get your inspiration from?
Actually, I do get a lot of writer's block. I actually have writer's block right now. It's hard to write a sci-fi world and to make it convincing and to make it, spectacular for everyone. And I get through it. I like to listen to like mood music, and one of my favorite composers is Thomas Bergerson. He's like an incredible composer, and he really just draws me into like a new world, and I can just like get in this frame of mind that's like different and dynamic and deep. And then I like, I have this love for my characters, and like when you love your characters, I think that shows through, and you want to tell their stories so badly that I just like kind of energize myself, and then I just go choo, and I just go.
Okay, so it's just you draw your inspiration from yourself, not like other movies or books or.
Yeah, I try to be original. I try to draw from a place that is different and very me, rather than, I mean, it's great to be inspired by other artists, don't get me wrong, like that's amazing. But for me, I like to find my own voice, and I think it's important that I tell these characters' stories in a way that's genuine and new.
So with writing stories and being so young, do you find any difficulty being taken seriously or like getting people to pay attention?
Absolutely. I have been underestimated as a writer since I can remember. I've had people who were telling me, I had a woman actually tell me once that I don't think she's, mature enough to write thriller or suspense. And I'm like, you should never underestimate artists, and especially the youth who are like so impassioned and so like creative and so like ready to just like prove the world wrong with everything. And so like I definitely find it hard to be taken seriously as like just like a woman or an African American, and like in an industry that is like dominated by like white males, which is, it's hard, but it definitely doesn't stop me at all. Like I am going straight to the top. I know I am. And so I really try to encourage other artists who are like down because they're like, I'm never gonna get there because of like the way I look, because of my skin color, because of this. And I'm like, you know what? Talent is the ultimate teller, and like if you believe and have faith in your talent,
true,
you can go places no matter what.
And like the representation is awesome to say like, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, very true.
Totally. So after all the struggles of trying to get people to take you seriously, and you finally get your book published, do you find it easy to get people to buy your book? Like, do you feel like your friends are supporting you, family members? Like, do you feel supported?
Support is definitely hard because, I mean, I'm young and I'm unknown, obviously, but the main people who buy my book are just like, family who's like really close to me. Like it's hard to get my cousins who like have grown up with my family for like ever to buy my book. It's hard to like get friends to read it if they buy it, especially like most of the support I get comes from people who are readers, like people who love sci-fi and are interested in finding like new authors and like new books to read, which is great. I have like, that's where my fans are. Like I've had people who are like, where's the sequel, like I love it so much and I want this character to come back. And it's like that is like really amazing to feel like your work is appreciated, and that like it spoke to someone in any sort of way. But yeah, the support is like, it's really disappointing to like, have family who haven't read my book. My brother has not finished my book and it's been out for 2 years. Like, let me just be real with you. Like, I get on him all the time and I'm like, you're not my brother, you haven't read my book, like go away.
Do you like test people, like drop little questions like what did you think, or like see like how?
I never try to test people because I like the people who read my book will tell me. The people who haven't read it though, they won't say like anything. They'll just be like,
hope she doesn't mention it.
Yeah. Like, did she write a book? You wrote a book? You bought my book, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh yeah.
So besides getting people to support you, do you come across any other struggles that really, like, I guess people don't really know about?
Yeah, it's a struggle getting people to like recognize you as an artist, and like people, I guess it's a struggle like trying to build just relationships with
Right.
people who are like interested in your craft and who can like understand your art and be like, yeah, I want to work with you, and like, yeah, I want to bring this to the table with you because I feel like we both have something that, you know, we can build together. And so an artist, you can be, you know, you can do things by yourself if you're like a painter or like, I don't know, whatever kind of art that you can just get by doing yourself. But most art requires other artists, like music. You can't just be like, oh, I want to be like a solo by myself. Like, it takes other people with skills to like put that track down. And like when you're a filmmaker, it takes like thousands of people work on one movie. Like, it's no joke. And so it's really hard for me to like communicate with people on like a genuine level and be like, let's make this together, because a lot of people are like, no, I want to tell my story, or I want to write my song. And like, you know, you have to be willing to give and take, and a lot of artists sometimes aren't willing, and it's hard to like get through to those people and just to like, you know.
Right. How do you feel about like, is it hard to, I know in my art I have a hard time showing people, like, you have a published book, like, people are going to say what they think. Like, is that also a struggle, or are you like...
Yeah, there are a lot of like naysayers, and you know, I've had reviews in my book that I wasn't happy with. Like, people gave me like 1 stars and stuff, and they were like, this is confusing, I don't get it. Or they're like, oh, she was so young and she has a long way to go before like she's a ripened writer. And it's like, shut up. But yeah, it's hard to take critique, but if you take critique, you're going to get better, and you shouldn't have an attitude of I'm the bomb, I'm everything, and you don't know what you're talking about. And you really have to like, you know, be humble and like take what people say like seriously, and not always as like an attack on you. Obviously you can recognize an attack, like people will attack you just because,
trolls,
but
just
total trolls.
I didn't even read the book.
Yeah, so
yeah, but well, on top of struggles, I mean, like, everyone always like sees everyone's positive self-imaging or whatever, like on Instagram, but no one really thinks of the struggles. Like, everyone's like, oh, they're doing so good.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it's cool to talk about that, because it's like, we're human too.
Right.
But on the other side of, you know, talking about struggles, are there any like cool opportunities or like perks that you're like, oh my god, like, I didn't realize that this would happen to me?
I mean, like, ever since I've been in film school at Chapman University, there have been a lot of great perks. Like, I've met writers who've like done like great films. Like, I met the writer who did like Zootopia, Moana, and I ran into the producer of like The Hateful Eight, and like, it's great to like hear from these other creatives. And so like, it's a perk to be like, yeah, like I got intel, like I got the inside scoop from that person. And like, when I was working at interning at Fox, I was like, wow, this is great. Like, I get to look at all the X-Men figurines and like be like, I get to sit in like the Charles Xavier wheelchair that was like in the movie, and it's like, yay. That's really fun.
That's cool. And one thing that like I seem to find is like, some of the big names and people who have influence in anything, like, nobody knows who they are. Like, they're not somebody with 15,000
like
followers
walking down the street, and they'll be like, nobody knows me, slay, like, right? And they just like, you know, they just like do their thing every day, and you know, they love it. They love like having like, they love being known in their niche, but not to other people, so they can just live their life how they want. And that's kind of like what I want. Like, yeah.
Well, speaking of goals, do you have like tell me what your ideal dream life, like, are you writing books, are you producing films, like, are you travel, like, what is, I know you mentioned a while back Kung Fu, like, tell me about
I
you.
love
like,
to learn Kung Fu,
and
just do a lot of like extreme things in my life, like space jumping, or like learning like 10 languages. Like,
that's so bad.
Yeah,
like even alien languages.
yeah, something like really kind of crazy, or like just go on like a walkabout sometime during my life to just like immerse myself in different cultures and like just bring storytelling to, storytelling is like millions and millions of years old. It's like one of the oldest things. Like, yeah, it's like one of the oldest art forms, and like to be able to go to other places and to hear other people's stories and like just become like more cosmopolitan and wise, bringing that home and like putting it on screen for, you know, Americans to see, or like people, just anyone to see, like from all different countries, to like, it's a way of bonding, really is. It's a way of like telling things that we would never experience in life, and like seeing
sharing emotion.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, I've been there before.
Yeah, and so my ultimate goal is just to help like other people get there, like where my idea of success is. Like I want people to reach their idea of success and their idea of happiness, and just to like blossom.
Do you think, like, you know how some artists or authors have like a constant theme that they, or a moral that they're always trying to bring out of their stories? Do you think that you'll have one? Like,
yeah, I
have one.
I have like many themes and like morals that I would like to teach people or like tell people about when I'm writing stories, and I always keep that in mind when I'm writing. And I think my center, like my main thing I like to tell people is just like leave a legacy that is good. And I think if you're walking through life and you're trying to leave a legacy that is good, then that means the world can become a better place. Right? You know, like, and so like even though you have flaws and you're struggling and the world seems dark, like you're the good light, you know, and people will follow that, and people will follow you. And if you're the good light, then, you know, darkness or evil will never conquer like good, you know? Like, have you ever seen a movie where evil conquers? Like, no.
Then there was a sequel, and then it came back.
Right.
It's like, it's not over. Yeah. No, evil never wins.
Evil never wins. So yeah.
I have one more question for you. What advice do you have for any other artist out there, any other writer, any other creative that's trying to do their thing?
Okay, so my advice is to not be cliche. I can't tell you how badly Hollywood is like ruined by like stories we've already seen, or like the music industry, like by songs we've already heard. And like, you're not creating anything new. Like you're not adding your, like with your talent, like you're not adding anything. And so like, if you want to leave a legacy, and I think art is all about legacy, like it's all about transforming the world. And like, we as artists, that's our duty, like it's to change the world, right? So like my advice is to like find something new, like find something undiscovered, be daring, be courageous, like do the strange thing or the unexpected thing. And like, who cares about, you know, following the trend or like being like, real people who make real impacts, they understand what it is to stand alone and like to be different and like be a hero. Like, you know, like heroes are different and they're just full of bravery and courage. And that's what I would say, like give up the cliche, give up the everyday, and like just let it go. Just let it go and be you.
Perfectly said. You gotta be odd to be number one.
Yeah.
That was great advice.
Thank
oh my
you.
God, Almney, thank you so much for coming and
Absolutely,
talking.
anytime.
Sharing with us, you guys. This book is great. I can't wait. When is the next book coming out?
Oh my God, I hope so. Very, very soon. Very soon.
So we'll know soon.
Yeah.
And we can get this on Amazon. Is there any bookstores?
No bookstores right now, but just Amazon.com. It's called All Light Will Fall. Easy to remember.
It's like glaring.
It will touch your soul. It's food for your soul, guys.
It has pictures and things like that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, go get the book and talk to us. Subscribe.
Yeah.
More videos coming your way. More artists, undiscovered artists, and writers, and all kinds of people I want to interview and we'll hear from.
Yeah.
Thank you, Almney.
You're absolutely.
Bye, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.
That was my first talk show video.
Really?
So.
Was it dancing? Was it like?
No, yeah.
It's like,
you should dance.
Hey.
Yeah.
Wow. No.